All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. Now, we just saw Islam Makhachev smash Moises last night. Very impressive performance, and we're going to talk about what the likelihood of him becoming champion in the short term is. Also, we're going to talk about how people interpret people's performances, styles, fights, fighters, championships, etc. And I'm going to use Khamzat Chimaev as an example also, as well as Khabib, all right? Now, if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. I think this is actually a perfect moment for me to just say this. People ask me, they're like, so why do people watch your channel? I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm just entertaining on camera, but that's not what it is, I don't think. I actually think what it is that I'm just a fan, man. Like, I'm just a fan. Yeah, like, you know, I know how to kick things hard and all that stuff, but like, I am just a fan, and so I think that I end up thinking about the same things that most fans are thinking about after a fight like that. Like, people are gonna come on, they're all right, let's break this fight down. It's like, well, yeah, let's do that. But I'm more interested, like, how would he do against the top three right now? Like, really? I mean, I know everybody's talking about that, but like, that's what I really want to talk about. Like, how would Islam Makhachev do right now if we threw him in the deep end with the top guys, you know? And also, why were people saying that his performance was lackluster? I mean, you know, I guess people have kind of changed their minds since the fight ended, but when it first ended, people were like, man, I really would have wished he would have really gone for it, man. I really wish he would have, you know, he had the big stage. I wish he would have taken more chances and really, you know, done a little bit more with that. I'm like, what? And that's about interpretation, okay? Interpretation. And I'm going to compare him, Khamzat Chimaev, Khabib, etc. All right, so here's the deal, right? When you watch Islam Makhachev, you are relegated to comparing him to Khabib 100%. You're not going to get away from that, okay? Like, there are certain things that trigger fans to observe, to interpret information in a certain way based on the fighter, okay? Islam Makhachev, you are always going to be thinking about Khabib when you watch him fight. It's a fact. Khabib's going to be in his corner talking, and so you're going to be like, what? They look alike, they fight alike, and so you're like, man, remember when Khabib would get on top of a guy and he would just literally just crush their soul, just beat them mercilessly until they couldn't move? And remember, his stand-up was super wild. He didn't, you know, he wasn't taking his time to get in there. He was going in, he was just gonna keep on throwing strikes and make you make a mistake, and then he was gonna take you to the ground, he was gonna beat the soul out of you, right? And so when you watch Islam Makhachev, who looks like Khabib, and Khabib's in his corner, you're like, man, why is he picking his shots? You know? Why is this guy picking his shots? Why doesn't he just go crazy? Why does he just go crazy like Khabib did? You know, Khabib, arguably the greatest lightweight of all time, why isn't he fighting like that? And you're like, well, because he's not Khabib. Like, he's not Khabib. That's you're setting an unrealistic expectation because no one's Khabib. And I'm not saying that his future is not as bright as Khabib's. I'm saying they're not the same person. They're not the same fighter. Everyone has a style, right? If you look at like, you know, so I was at the Austin Open yesterday watching jiu-jitsu, and I was, you know, focused, well, not primarily, exclusively at the black belt end, right? So I'm watching like these guys who are all like the cream of the crop and all these different, you know, weight classes, and I'm watching them, and it's like, all these guys have different styles, man. Like Steve Hargett, the one that I train with, he's a smashing machine, dude. He's gonna rip your soul out of he's gonna take your spine and pull it out of your body like the Predator. He's just gonna break you with top pressure. He's just gonna fucking break you. His brother is a guy who's going to pressure test you everywhere. He's going to be like, oh, what are you going to do if I do that? Oh, what are you going to do if I do that? How about that? What if I do that? How you like that? Okay? They're both vicious, but completely different styles. Okay? They also look alike. Okay? Islam Makhachev is not Khabib. And last night, I mean, that was a flawless victory, dude. Like, there's no room for interpretation there. That was a flawless victory. He made nearly no mistakes whatsoever. He smashed him from post to post and finished him in the fourth. What are you talking about, dude? He should have taken more. I don't know, man. He had the big stage. What are you talking about? At what moment was he in any trouble? At what moment was he not dominating the fight? I mean, what more do you want? Like, and that's the thing. You're just interpreting his performance through the eyes of, I'm not putting this together. I'm comparing him to Khabib. All the time that I'm watching, I'm just comparing him to Khabib, and he's not doing what Khabib would have done. So stop doing that, you know? Just stop doing it, because it doesn't make any sense. There's no reason to do that. There's no reason to do that. You should just observe how dominant he's being. So like, as an example against like with Khamzat Chimaev, the reason why he, you know, got so much hype out of the gate is because he obliterated his opponents. Smashed them. And I think the reason why he caught his hype got so big so fast, aside from the fact that he beat three, you know, he's going up and down in weight classes, so he's doing something different. And the the wins were so dominant. I actually, Islam wasn't as dominant as Khamzat Chimaev in his first 2 fights. He's fighting a much better fighter. But, like, it's a style thing. Khamzat Chimaev would get on top of them and he would literally smash their face. He'd land 120 strikes, right? 120 strikes. Islam Makhachev is fighting a different kind of game. He's dominating you on the ground. He's like like Khamzat Chimaev is like Steve, and Islam is like his brother Chris, where Islam is going to just like slowly boa constrictor you until you can't fucking breathe and your head's gonna pop off your neck. You can't beat him. You're just finding out very slowly. It's like a slow motion you're going off of a cliff versus a car crash where you're just flipping over and over and over and over and over and over and over. You're gonna be fucking dead either way. You got no way out of the car either way. Now, is it just a rougher landing, or are you gonna slow motion like, oh man, there's the cliff, nothing I can do, just gonna cruise right off this fucking thing, and that's what it's like fighting Islam Makhachev. Now, Khamzat Chimaev also showed that he can knock you the fuck out with the first shot that he throws, so there's that. And I'm very excited to see how he does when he comes back. But everybody needs to stop comparing people to people, And that was the other thing. I did a video yesterday. Well, I did a live video yesterday because, and I'll sneak this in on you guys. Look at that. I'm gonna sneak it in. I did a live stream yesterday where I was talking about how when I watched Dustin and Conor in the main event of 264, the way I interpreted that fight was like this. Conor came out kicking. He made a mistake when he tried to pull the guillotine. Dustin spent the rest of the round smashing his head in. Conor got very lucky to even get out of that situation by basically cheating because he grabbed his glove. And then Dustin pulled away, he got up, and then he broke his leg, and that was that. Basically, Dustin smashing Conor after Conor landed a couple good leg kicks, right? That's how I interpreted that round. And then someone in the comments was like, hey, dude, you sound like an idiot when you're saying that. I mean, you know what you sound like? You sound like a casual who's trying to please the fans. Go watch the fight again. Actually watch it. This was after I did the fight, or did the video about John Kavanaugh, where I said Kavanaugh saying that he didn't see anything that he was concerned about is crazy because everybody was watching. Conor was getting smashed. Someone in the comments was like, really? Was everybody seeing Conor get smashed, or are you just like a child who didn't actually go back and watch the fight and you're just on here talking about it? And I was like, well, fuck you. I'll go watch it again. And I did. And he was right. He was 100% right. Okay. And I challenge anybody to go watch it. On the first set of ground and pound, when Dustin's on top of Conor and then it ends when Conor grabbed his glove. I'm not like defending Conor grabbing his glove or anything like that. I'm just saying that the way I interpreted that was that Dustin was landing a ton of those strikes. And in reality, Conor was calm. He defended them very, very well. And of the like 28 to 30 strikes that Dustin threw, 7 of them landed, maybe 8. Okay. Conor was never in any danger on the ground. Never. John Kavanaugh was right. I was wrong. And the reason why I interpreted that way is because the last time I saw Conor in a position like that, it was Khabib smashing his face and he was in trouble. And so you on autopilot, you're watching this thing, it looks similar to you as something else that you've watched. And so that's the way you interpret it. Like, oh gosh, Islam Makhachev, he's just not taking any chances. He's not taking any chances. Conor's on his back, somebody's throwing bombs at him. You're like, oh my God, he's getting crushed. He's got no chance in this fight, man. He's getting annihilated. Look at him. He's lucky to get out of this round. And you're like, really? I mean, did any of those, you should probably go watch it again and see if any of those actually landed, because when you watch it again, very few of them actually landed. Conor, these guys convinced me that it could have actually still been a 10-8 round because once Conor broke his leg, then Dustin landed a shitload of shots. That's actually fair. The point I'm making is about interpretation, how you interpret the thing that you're looking at. And so when it comes to Islam Makhachev, stop comparing him to Khabib. Now, as it relates to him becoming the champion, I think that his fighting style makes it pretty much impossible for you to know how he would do against these guys because he has such a unique skill set, right? Like, if he wants to sit back and pick his shots like that and you go put him up against Justin Gaethje and Justin Gaethje has success kicking his legs, then he'd probably be in trouble. But against Justin Gaethje, how's that going to go if Islam gets the fight to the ground, right? Like if that fight goes to the ground, how many seconds do you think that Justin Gaethje is going to survive? Very few. Very, very few. But again, if you fold his knee in half with leg kick, he hasn't fought anyone that has an arsenal like a Justin Gaethje on the feet, right? Michael Chandler, great grappler. He's got a lot of power in his hands. Who knows? Like, all these matchups are really weird. And, I think a guy like Charles Oliveira, who is the current champion, obviously, dude, I would love to see that fight, man. I would love to see that fight because I think him and Islam match up pretty well on the feet because Islam is very, very careful. He's very hard to hit. He doesn't make mistakes, which is the same type of style that Charles Oliveira has. He got hit in the first round against Chandler, but his fundamentals are good, right? Chandler's a bomber, and Chandler was beating him, and then Chandler forgot his fundamentals, and he left his hand down, and he got clipped, and that's why he lost. Charles Oliveira, Islam Machachev, they're not trying to land a highlight knockout, right? So they're going to be here, here, whatever. Like you're not going to catch him with a completely like wide open, I'm throwing a thing and I just have my hand in my pocket shot. So I'd be interested to see how those guys matched up. But styles make fights. And then you got Dustin Poirier. I mean, like these guys, these are fights that there is no way you've seen enough of Islam Machachev to know how he would do. But to me, a victory like this, I realize it took him 4 rounds, but like that is a flawless victory, man. Like he was never in any danger. He got hit with no really heavy shots, almost at all. Let's give him a real contender. And again, I've said this on my lives a bunch of times, but since I don't think I've ever put this in like a real video, I will say this. Like, what you need to do is look at the UFC's incentive structure and think about Khabib in this equation, right? So I think the reason why Islam Machachev has not had a contender yet is because the UFC knows, they understand what is important to Khabib. And to Khabib, it was like win the championship, retire the champion, and then make Islam the champion very soon afterwards. So they know that if they put Islam Machachev in the mix, that basically nixes any chance of Khabib coming back, right? And they still want Khabib to come back. Now, I saw an interview this week that convinced me that it is a big uphill battle for Khabib to come back. So I've never been convinced that he wasn't going to come back. I do think he would have come back to fight Conor at 29-0 if Conor would have beat Dustin the first time. But now, after that interview, I really watched this like, damn, he is not exhibiting the signs of a person who's going to come back. He just does, like, he's so calm about it. He's like, no, I don't care. They're like, what if Charles wins like 7 in a row? He's like, then it's Charles' time. Good for him. I had my time. He looks so at peace with it. But I think that's what's going to need to happen for the UFC to really move Islam up the chain because, I think they are skeptical that Islam can be as big of a draw as Khabib. I am not. I think that if you get Islam in those fights and Khabib's in his corner, I think that duo in itself will draw, just like Khabib did. But anyway, they're going to protect him. Khamzat Chimaev has, you look at like how he won. He obviously hasn't fought anyone, in the upper echelons. It's really tragic that he caught COVID and didn't get to fight Leon Edwards. But yeah, we'll see how he does. I really hope that he's healed and he comes. Wouldn't it be just an utter tragedy if he lost his comeback fight? That would be the worst thing ever. Because everybody's going to always say like, well, what if he wouldn't have got COVID? But if he feels all the way back, hopefully he should pick up where he left off. But anyway, that is what I've got. So subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. Peace.